Hey, it's been 69 days. I'm gonna talk about the recovery concept for the third time. This time I wanna this time I wanna be more concise and I wanna nail it so that I could talk about other topics in my future videos, my upcoming videos. Recovery is I'm gonna talk about recovery, right? Let's first get into its definition. Then recovery is a process. Emphasize on the process. It's a process of regaining, reclaiming something back to its normal version, normal state. In an ideal environment, then recovery would mean that recovering an object back to 100% of its original state, atom by atom. But mostly, recovery in real world doesn't happen that way. When things that are recovered in reality, then it would be altered, and even if it's recovered into a state that is really similar to the original states, the atoms that constructed that object will still be different. The importance of recovery cannot be overstated. Basically, recovery is just in various things around our life. We humans are operated largely on the recovery concept. Basic, Basically, recovery all importance on things or animals or people. I mean, recovery or importance on things that are valuable, things that are in it that are not replaceable, or things that are too valuable or expensive to replace. You can see that from expensive machinery, from historical sites, and mostly from the process of the human body, from both the mental and the physical body that we possess. I'm gonna talk about that later in the video. In lots of industry and in economics, there's a constant option between replacing something and recovering something. For products that are cheap and easy to replace, then they would usually replace that. But for, again, expensive stuff, then recovery is often the more rational option. Let's move on to why they say that most animals and humans can't even operate normally if we don't have the ability to recover. The first thing first, sleep. Nobody can really function normally without a recovery period that it's called as sleep for a good amount of time. That's the recovery period when our mind is shut down and lots of chemicals thing happened in our brain, which filtering all the weights and building new kind of neurons that help us regain our energy for the new day. There are things that happen down in our muscle and bodies too. First thing is that if we don't have recovery, we would all drop down dead in minutes. because we constantly emit CO2 when we move around and just simply exist. So if we are unable to get those CO2 out of our body, then we would die pretty quickly. So the process of breathing, like breathing in oxygen and getting out CO2, can be counted as recovery. It's maintain the CO2 level of our blood. It's pretty much the same as in muscle, because when people go to the gym, they often damage our muscle to a controllable degree, and then in our sleep and several days later, the muscle would then recovered, and based on our intensity and based on our hormones and lots of other factors, the muscle can be thicker and stronger, or they can be thinner than the previous version. Recovery is also applicable to our recovering our mental energy, recovering our focus. That's pretty common, and you should probably heard of them. There's also a term of recovering from depression, recovering from burnout. Basically, recovery just the recovery concepts are huge. I think I'm missing something. Yeah. So just in conclusion, recovery is one of the most important aspects in our daily lives that I don't think that most people think about. Lots of professionals stated that recovery is 80% of the progress of muscle building. Recovery is important for longevity and to live healthful for a healthy life. Like all those 8 hours sleep and having a fixed schedule and having a good diet, all those kind of thing. It's all related to recovery overall. So yeah, if I gotta conclude, then recovery is kind of underestimated, and it's a really important concept in our lives. That feels kind of bland. And recovery does have a large impact on people life, lots of people life, and also to many kind of industry. Yeah, I do. I'm able. I do have the ability to deliver the contents that I want to say, but it's not really. It's kind of bland and boring. So I will work on. I mean, I will work on that in the future. Also, stop. Also, additionally, then oh, aside, I do lack a lot of linking word and still do hesitate a lot on my speech. So there's still many things to improve in my future videos. That's it for day 69. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. If you ever come to the end of this video,